views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Welcome to Energy Works Radio with Ataana Badili. Have you ever wondered what has been gripping your power and light, shutting you off from your potential? Wonder no more. Energy Works Radio with one of the world's leading healers and transformation catalysts, Ataana, will help you map out a pathway to create the life you truly desire. Ataana brings his ability to see energy patterns to help you become the conductor of your own higher self. Get ready to unhook from those limiting agreements and patterns to create a greater fullness of expression of your soul. Say yes to the creative energy within you and stand in the power of this place to honor your gifts, recognize your skills, and extend outward in the world. Why? For the highest good imaginable. Now here's your amazing host, Ataana Badili. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Pat, and my buddy joining me here today is the amazing Ataana. Ataana, welcome. This is great. We've got a great show for everybody today, don't we?
Awesome. Yes, we do. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to it.
Energy Works. Let's talk about this. And, I love this conversation. And let me start out with a little story. You are someone that has created the Ataana method, but also you've learned and understand very clearly how to integrate things, how to create harmony out of all of the things you know and all of the work you do with people. And here's the thing I want to ask you about crystals. From as long as I could remember, I was so attracted to them, but I will tell you, I didn't know much about them. Like I didn't know the difference between a smoky quartz, a regular quartz, but intuitively, there have been some that I know that I feel more, I want closer to my body or not. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you this question. What was it that attracted you to doing this work? And you even travel. You actually go out and dig yourself for them. Tell us about your journey with this.
Well, it started when I was very young. I had several awakenings throughout my younger teen years.
Yeah.
And when I started, I had these amazing moments where my psychic abilities or my awareness opened me up so far that I was overwhelmed, actually. It was so much that I couldn't handle it. So when these awakenings happening, there are expansions. And of course, when we have these expansions, what's happening is our known comfort level is being, I don't want to say removed, because it's being shattered into a million pieces so that we can go into our full expansion. And when that happened, I was so overwhelmed that most of the times when I had these moments, there were expansions of my awareness and consciousness. I had even moments where I felt the walls, the life of the walls, even of the non-physical, not alive things, gave me really an understanding and awareness that they are alive. And I felt the consciousness in everything. Even the carpet started to talk to me. Even the walls starting to talk to me. Even the trees started to talk to me. The roads, the cars, everything that was non-physical. I mean, when I say non-physical, not really alive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
A living being. When a living being is in the room, you can sense, there's another being with you that's like kind of with you in the same room. But the non-physical became as aware to me, as overwhelming to me as it was the humans and my own life. Mm. And when that happened, it was so powerful that I was overwhelmed. And when I was overwhelmed, I decided I had to go inwards to deal with that. And instead of me just saying, well, there's just something that's going to go away or it's going to pass, I really went into the journey and say, why is this happening? What is this awakening? And why am I aware of the life in everything? And so I started to really divert my time towards these things and then go deeper into it. I had awakenings where I could even sense the thoughts of people.
Wow.
I could really sense what they were thinking, and then I was listening to what they were saying, and a lot of that wasn't matching. So I then had some times, for example, I can remember in my life where I had 4 months at a time where I used earplugs. Where I had earplugs in my ear because what they were saying to people and what they were actually thinking was not in balance. So that made me focus more on what is real. And I had these times in my life where I retreated into myself, literally like how people go into the monasteries or into the caves. I did that only in the city and in real life, in real life as we are living in this moment, in these cities. I took myself space, went to the spaces where if I needed to be alone, I went outside of the city. I went to the parks. I went to caves. I went where I had to go. And I found these islands that are still active and oases that are still active in each of the cities. You can find amazing spaces and places in the things and areas where you think it's overcrowded. But there is amazing space wherever life is. There's basically everything present. And I realized something to these awakenings, that all is connected in this divine frequency, in this divine sound, in this divine energy, in this divine bioenergy that's everywhere, that's going through everything. And once I realized that, and I was very early on, I had that in different phases, and then I was being able to go back to my normal life. So I integrated it, and then I went back like to normal life. I was like, I had literally my crazy spells, and then went back and, oh yeah, I had times where I couldn't shake people's hands. And I said, well, he's not going to shake your hand, but, he's a good guy, And I had these moments where I went to these purification processes where I couldn't be doing just normal stuff. And there were times where I cleared and purified myself. There was times where I went into different phases, that I had, where I had to really experience different areas and life frequencies, I guess, That was really part of my journey.
Well, I love talking with you about this because the reason that this is so important, Ataana, today to share with people is because we are now living in a place in our lives where we get to renew. I would love to talk to you about renewal if I could. And and maybe you can clarify some things for all of us. When I think about crystals, I think about renewal. I don't know why I put them together, but there's something that I really look at or look for. And as a matter of time, as a matter of fact, what you're talking about, I too have experienced it. The problem with that is, I went through a period in time in my life and people would say, oh man, she's like so unapproachable. Right? That term right there. Like, yeah. Oh, she's like so unapproachable. But it wasn't that I was unapproachable. It was painful because I was absorbing so much. For me, I absorb emotions from people. I think there's some name for that in the psychic arena. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Yeah, it's empathic.
Yeah. And my gosh, I mean, can you imagine being in a room full of people or doing volunteer work? I do volunteer work with youth and addiction and so forth. And I didn't know what to do with that. How do crystals help with that? Yeah. And then how can crystals help us renew our vibrancy?
That's a very good question. Actually, I work with a lot of different crystals, and I remember when you said, "How did you start the journey?"
Yeah,
I was aware actually of the consciousness that was in the stone. Like I said, I had an awareness even of the walls. That means I had an awareness. Here's how far my awareness expanded. My awareness expanded into the carpet, into the walls of the house, and actually into the higher self of the house. So I could understand the consciousness of the house, what the house wanted. The house, for example, was not being taken care of. I can sense this. I know when the higher self of the house, for example, says to me, "Oh, I need this and this being done. I need more love in my house, in the house," right? Then you can literally communicate with the higher self of the house. When I go to the house clearings, I sense what the house wants. And what's not just feng shui, but actually what does the house need and what can we do to improve? Same with the stones. The stones, they inhibit a consciousness. The consciousness is inhibiting the stone. That's a higher self of the stone. Each stone has their own character, their own awareness, their own service that they do for humanity. Some are not doing nothing, but some who love to serve humanity. And they come into our lives to support us in our awareness. Crystals, clear quartz crystals, for example, if you know, what they're being used for in the past, they were used as magnifying glasses, right? You remember the crystals?
Yes.
Put it on the book or whatever you wanted to magnify in the 1700s. You had a crystal that was like shaped in a magnifying glass form, and then you looked at the thing. So that is a very powerful thing that the crystals still do. They amplify, they magnify what is going on in the room. If you have a clear quartz crystal and you hold it in your hand, whatever is happening is magnified. Sometimes the good, sometimes the bad. So you have to make sure. But it gives you an awareness that something in your system is not right, because sometimes we don't even know, like our immune system, it doesn't even know that there's something that it needs to fight and transform because it was so long in the system. Same with crystals. You have now a magnifying glass that shows you that something in your actions, in your daily actions, is not healthy. So what you're doing is you're modifying your behavior because now you're seeing it. The same with the big quartz crystals. With the smaller quartz crystals, there is a whole set of consciousness that goes on top of that with them. Some of them supporting us in connecting to the greater reality, to the higher levels of beingness. Then there's crystals that help with addictions. Believe it or not, the amethyst is a stone that the Catholic cardinals were wearing as a ring on their fingers. Mm-hmm. And amethystos, literally in Greek, means not drunk. So it's a anti addiction stone, an amethyst, right?
Wow.
Yeah, and in centers, for example, where they're dealing with addictions, I go in and help them to choose the right stones, like a big amethyst geode, right? Where you look into it, it's cut in half, and you look into it and put a candle in front of it, make a meditation. You're being infused with the most amazing consciousness of awareness, and it helps you to get to the core of addiction. It's amazing.
I love this because, part of what you and I are talking about here today is the healing power. I want to ask you this other question, because you and I were talking, Ataana and I talked quite a bit offline. And one of the things I said to you is, I said, Ataana, I have always had somewhere in my vision and my consciousness, I saw myself literally digging for amethyst. And I don't know why I saw it in Brazil. Now, I know things have changed. I've had this vision for a long time. And, most of the people that know me think, okay, there she goes again. But there's something about that I have not been able to explain. How do these stones work in their ability to try to attract us to them for what we need? Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's kind of like, no, not us seeking them out, but the stones seeking us.
Yes. Ultimately, when we look at the crystals, they grew over millions and millions of years. They have been here on the planet for a very, very long time. So we think some believe really the earth just started 5,000-6,000 years ago. There's people really out there that think the world just was created 6,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it's totally ludicrous, because the millions of years these crystals are here. The civilizations came and went on this planet by the dozens. I mean, we're talking about deep, deep, powerful civilizations. And you have to understand that these crystals, they collect consciousness. They come into manifestation, into form, almost fully intact. They come in with that consciousness, and then they form around that consciousness. If you look, first there's the energy, and then there's the form. If you look at how amazing that form is and how perfect that form is, then you can imagine how perfect that consciousness of that thing must be to inhibit such a form. For example, when you see a human, you wonder, man, this human being, if you look at the human beings, all of the human beings have the potentials that the enlightened people had that lived, right? They have both potential, the really bad, the worst that ever lived, to the very best that ever lived, right?
Yeah.
And each person can achieve that Christ consciousness or that Buddha consciousness, and each person can, of course, go wherever they want to go. Same with the crystals. Each one of these crystals has the potential to be the higher self of the crystals by tapping into their enlightenment. Same with the humans. It's like if you go into another country and you meet somebody, even though maybe everyone is hostile, you're going to meet somebody that's going to be your friend, because you have the consciousness, you have the heart for it, you have the love for it. And what's happening and what's activating and flowing to every and all things is love. Every time you go into the crystal kingdom, you always connect with true love, because you love the color of the stone, you love the form of the stone, and most of all, and they really started to remind me in the beginning as these beautiful pets that we have. You have your pet, you go home, that pet is loving you. This pet dog, this pet cat, it doesn't care what you did, it doesn't care what you're going to do, it's just going to love you. It's going to scratch you once in a while, but it's going to love you really deeply. And the same with these stones. To their love and to your love to the stones, you're creating a bridge to the consciousness. And like I said, a lot of the stones, they have protection power, they have enlightenment power, they have consciousness that they can remind us that we have internally by reflecting that back to us. And then we have an easy way to access that consciousness by just holding to our acupressure points in the hands, the stones. And we can just hold the stone in our hands to the acupressure points. Energy is flowing into the stone, and energy from the stone is flowing into the hand. If you look back into the Second World War, you have an understanding that they mined the crystals for their radios, for their radios in Arkansas, here in Arkansas. And everything that is connected and related to communication has what? A crystal in it. Your cell phone, your LCD, liquid crystal display, LCD. Everything that has to do with communication has to do with crystals, because crystals, they are not just magnifiers, they're also communicators. If people go deeper into how the shamans in the past communicated telepathically, they literally had a clear crystal in their hands, and they found a crystal that was twos, and they took each other a stone. And when they wanted to communicate, when they were like the shamans from the north and the shamans from the south, they communicated to the crystal when they needed help or support from the other shamans in the olden days, right?
Yeah.
And even in Atlantis, they were said to have crystals. In Egypt, they said they had crystals. They were polished a certain way, and they would glow. They would use them as street lamps. Just because of the perfect form, they attract life force and transmit that light. So all what this is with the crystals in general is there's a whole world there to explore when it goes to crystals. And I'm seeing this even beyond the physical into the metaphysical. And I'm supporting people to realize, to line them up with their healing tool, and what makes you find these stones? They have a consciousness. They know who they want to be with. They sense us all on the other side of the planet. When a crystal comes to you and you find that crystal and you pick that crystal up, most of the time the crystal had the same idea. It wanted to be picked up by you. It's like your beloved one, your lover. And that crystal came from thousands and thousands of miles ago and is now in your hand. You better believe there's a powerful consciousness in that stone. Otherwise, how the heck would it end up in your hands?
Right. I mean, one of the things I loved about this is literally being able to talk with you about the many, many aspects that we have about crystals, what they are and what they do. And part of today's show is to really call into being, the energy of this. And by the way, for those of you that would like to connect with Ataana today, our phone lines are open, 1-800-930-2819, 1-800-930-2819. But also, please go ahead and go to transformationtalkradio.com, and you can put your question up there and we'll get those on the air. Today's show is about inviting into our lives, this powerful, powerful energy and how it works. What Ataana does every day to help people move beyond things. When we come back, we're going to talk about how energy does work and how it works with these crystals. What is it about us that we can look for? And what are some of the factors that prevent us from fully experiencing healing? What are they? How does it work? And yes, it's almost like magic. Let's take a short break. If you want to find out more about Ataana, please go to ataanamethod.com, ATAANA method.com. We're going to take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tim Darter.
And I'm Steve Kramer.
Join us on Spirit Fire Radio. Discover how to add the mechanics of meditation to your day.
And watch yourself connect in a whole new way. Find the amazing moments in life's routines that often pass us by. Add to your awareness with Spirit Fire Radio.
Tune in each Wednesday at 9 a.m. for your weekly guide to practical mindfulness. And to learn more, visit www.spiritfireradio.com.
Shine On Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine On Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
There are so many resources out there for meditation. But did you know that Ataana's Heart Earth Healing Meditation is available for you for free? Yes, that's right. You can receive this free healing meditation today from Ataana Badili. All you need to do is visit his website, ataanamethod.com. That's ATAANA method.com, and sign up. You will receive your free meditation instantly. That's ataanamethod.com.
Are you seeking a more deeply connected and fulfilling life? Do you often find yourself feeling overwhelmed, overworked, or exhausted? Are you ready to embrace a life filled with more love, connection, and joy? Best of the Month list and 5-star rated on Amazon, Conscious Being by author T.J. Woodward will awaken you to your true nature. To learn more about how to get your copy of Conscious Being, visit ConsciousBeingBook.com today.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics and guests. Hey everybody, this is Dr. Pat. Many of you have heard me talk about the Lyme disease epidemic going on right now in the world. I want to tell you about my friends at Results RNA. They have now created an entire Lyme support system for immune system support, detoxification, rejuvenation, and neurological healing. Please visit resultsrna.com to learn more, and for first-time orders, you'll receive a special 10% discount. All you have to do is type in Dr. Pat at checkout. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's great. Listen, I'm Dr. Pat. My co-host today, host of Energy Works Radio, is Ataana Badilli. Thank you for joining us here today. Exactly. How do healing crystals work? That's today's show. Exactly. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk exactly. You know, before the break, Ataana, I was saying, wait a minute. It feels like magic when they do work. And then, though, we wonder, oh, wait a minute. Okay, why isn't this working for me? Why is it just working for Ataana and Pat?
Can I go right into it here?
Please.
One of the things also with the energy work or with the crystals is how much time do you really dedicate towards it? You know, and there's people who think they're diverting a lot of focus and energy into it. And it's not done just by kind of saying, well, let me take the lunch break and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, well, it's probably not going to be a good tool. That's like wanting to be an astrophysicist and thinking, in 20 minutes it's going to happen. Who knows? You know, you can unlock your full potential and maybe it's going to happen. But at the same time, how much time and focus and consciousness are you really dedicating towards it is very important, because these crystals, they grew in hundreds and thousands and millions of years. You know, each crystal, I held a crystal the other day, that's like 3 billion years old. 3 billion years. I mean, that's like 3 billion. That's a long time. And when we come with our stress, well, I have to go now, I have to do this, I have to do that. They're not going to even listen to it, because our whole lifetime is a sneeze for them, right? If we want to try to make pressure to these stones and say, well, stone, you better work right now because I only have that lunch break right now. And if you don't work, then you probably don't work. Well, the thing is, they are there the whole time in the background as frequency. Even if we think they're not doing anything, it's like you're having a radio in the background on with constantly positive affirmations. You know, you're not even aware anymore that you're listening to them, but subconsciously, it helps you to program your mind and slowly get you to a place where your mind can contain that positive focus, you know, of my life is going well, I'm prosperity, I'm healing, and all of these good things that are happening. And the same with the crystals. They hold a space in a baseline of a building, of a space. When I go to healing places or healing centers or offices, regular offices, you know, then I am asking, what do you wanted to achieve in this space? And they say more harmony, more calmness. Some say, well, I need my people more alert. I need my people more relaxed, right? There's for every different of these forms or how attitudes of being or expression of that. There is a crystal, and you can find a clear quartz crystal that helps you by just looking at it to calm your mind. There is an aquamarine crystal that helps you when you look at it, just looking at it, because you're connecting mentally with it just by seeing it. What it does, it helps you to actually open up your communication channels, to communicate clearer or better. There's a crystal, for example, lapis lazuli. It helps you to bring up the compressed, suppressed communication that wasn't expressed yet, right? So it helps you kind of bring that up to the surface. Yeah, I have seen in healing centers where they had crystals that were the formation of the crystals were supporting basically the balance of the energy system. So in a for example, a chiropractor office, we put a stone set in for when they come into the space where they could already start to decompress in the waiting area, where the stones were geared towards helping them mentally to decompress. And then they came into the practice, they were adjusted like 50% easier. 50%.
Wow, that's a lot. That's enormous.
And that's a chiropractor let me know about this, because I say, after I invested that amount of money, I want to have a result. So they kind of keep an eye on it. And then they say, you know what? This was the best investment because my adjustments are easier. I can get in actually more people. And these stones, they pay basically for themselves. I work with bigger stones as well. There are 300, 600 pounds, and you place them in the corner of a investment center, where you have like investors, into healing centers, into doctors' offices, dentist offices, all kinds of places, and once even meditation, bigger meditation yoga rooms, when you have these stones, they help you basically enter people in there to get to the goal of what they want to achieve in that space faster and with more harmony. And these amazing beings, and that's why I love them so much, because they have literally consciousness and they want to serve. They want to help.
I want to ask you a question, because when we're thinking about this today, we have certain ideas about what we're capable of and what we're not capable of. And I will say that, sometimes, at least in my own life, doing some things on my own works. But there's nothing like accelerating the process by working with someone like you, because, Ataana, what you do is you help people understand the power of this. And then, of course, then we can do it. This is not just about building a dependency, but what it's about is about learning. But it's not a one size fits all. And I wonder if you can say that, amethyst might be okay for me, but maybe it's not okay for Jessica, let's say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's why people consult me. They say, I want you to feel what is the right stone for this space. And then a big part of this overall process is really I'm getting them acquainted to their new helper, to their new supporter. They basically learn how to communicate to the stone and the stone with them, so that I basically gear them up together. And it's not just a stone that you just kind of, you just go to a place and you just buy the stone and put it in there. That's most of the time not doing it. Otherwise it would have already done it. A lot of the times what I do is I have these amazing crystals with me, and I can actually tune people into their healing crystal. So that means when a person comes to me and says, look, I'm dealing with this and this, for me, I see stones, even if I go and have the mission to find the right crystal for the person or the right stone, I actually know energetically the makeup of the person. I can sense that, and I see energetically the makeup of the stone, and I can see if they fit. I can actually see energetically if they fit magnetically or if they push each other away, because a lot of people work with stones and they don't have any results. The reason why is because they have not been lined up with each other. It's not the right stone for them. And what I'm doing, I'm becoming the facilitator between the stone and the human, or the stone and the mission. And then I line them up, but I don't force them. I see if they're actually both on the same wavelength and can support each other. It's like a dance. It's for me, I'm going into a ballroom and I'm seeing people sitting there, and I line them up. I line them up energetically how I feel is the right lineup for them, the right meetup. And once they're aligned, they start to dance. They start to flow with each other. They get to a dimension. This is like amazing. They accelerate their transformation tremendously because of that. And that's really my service, is I'm going in and I'm conducting them. And that's something what people, once that happens, they know it. They come back and say, hey, Ataana, can you support me in that next level of my business, my career, my personal life? And then they go and want the next stone, or they say, I would like to expand. I'm going into a bigger expansion. And then there's people who have stones that they need for balance because they're overwhelmed. They say, too much is happening. I can't handle this. Well, I know which stone helps because I was overwhelmed when I was like freaking 6 years old.
Right.
So I learned.
Right. Yeah, me too.
I learned from the get-go, and these tools came to me so I can help other people to go through life and actually to excel, to go into their their transformation and become the best they can be. That's why I work with the stones, because they work. They work. I don't have tools that don't work. I have only tools that work because I was so in such a predicament. Stuff that didn't work wouldn't have helped me. I need stuff that helps and that works, and I can rely on it. And these stones, I know what they do. I can line people up, and that's exactly what they're going to do. When I tell you, I have had the most amazing experiences with people where the energy of the spaces were just not right, and the house or the building wasn't selling. And I said, put that stone in that building. A week later, a cash buyer comes and pays like $25,000 more than they asked for. Stuff like this happens with me like on a daily basis.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, that's unheard of. Well, it just happened.
Well, and this is really why this show is really super important. It's super important because here's what I talked with you about during the break, and we're going to skip this break right now because we've got lots to talk about. One of the things that happens, and I shared this with you, Ataana, that I've heard the word overwhelm more times from people that are getting amazing abundance in their lives. And they're just overwhelmed. But there's something that happens when they're working with you and they're working with the stones. Life is going to get better.
Yes.
And then you're going to get more things that happen for good. And so all of a sudden we think, wait a minute, life is getting good. I don't need to do this work anymore. Isn't that one of the greatest misconceptions I think that happens for us? We wait till life gets bad, but we don't have to.
No, that's exactly right. And here's how I see it. And I'm doing energy work for a long time myself, right? And I'm teaching energy work. And you can tell my energy healers that doing the energy healing work, they have had ups and downs and everything. And they got to a point themselves where they said, I think I did really good energy work. And they get to a point where they're then saying, well, I could kind of do a little bit less energy work and just see how that works. And I tell you something, I even got to this place where it took me 25 years to get into a daily routine of doing energy work. Because at a certain point I thought, well, at one point it must be enough and you don't need to do anything. Well, the thing is, you're living in an artificial system here, and you have to constantly adjust yourself. Can you live in nature, in a mountain or in a cave? And you don't have to do it? Probably, because nature is going to just kind of take care of you and line you up right there. But we're living in an artificial world that's designed to get you further away from your system so that you can be easier influenceable. And every time I think I'm doing really great energetically and everything, and I think I don't need to do anything anymore, that's a problem. Because it's like you have an aquarium and you stop servicing it. It's like you're stopping to put new water in it, fresh water in it, and you don't check the pH and the alkalinity and everything. We're living here in an artificial system. Most of the people live in the cities don't realize we are being exposed to frequency, to everything that you can imagine that can mess with your balance. Just the electromagnetic ungroundedness is basically enough to get you into a stress situation. So we constantly have to be almost saint-like focused to get you through this life in a accelerated and successful state. Now, if you're naturally connecting to your natural frequencies internally, that could be enough. That could be all you do. But if you're living in powerful times and you like doing stuff that is so accelerated, you have to do stuff more, you have to do things more, you have to work harder, you have to focus on energy work. Energy work or meditation helps you. And meditation, I should say, because meditation is different than energy work. A lot of people say, well, once I do energy work, I don't need to do this anymore.
No, they're not the same. Maybe we should talk about that distinction right now. But the other part of this is, one of the things that we can also do is integrate crystals in both of those, right?
Absolutely. I have yoga centers and even yogis that come and ask me to line them up with the right crystal. And once that's done, it helps them to go into their transformation. There's a quartz out there that's called a lithium quartz. Lithium is being put into psychopharmaca for depression, right? Can you imagine you just hold a lithium quartz that actually has lithium in it?
Yeah.
It's going to calm you down like beyond what you have ever experienced if you have time to tune into it. And then from there on, try to go into meditation. It's like you're taking a bath. It's so easy. It's like you don't even have to think about it. But without the tools, and that's why these tools and ideas, they're called technologies, because this is the inner technology that they are responding to. We are in the West, we are really good with external technology. If you go back to India, they're good into internal technologies and systems, how the inner world to acclimate and to ground and to create an infrastructure. And, when we look at that, you can see in terms of how you utilize these tools to get yourself into a balance, because it's not good to do energy work all the time.
Right.
So for that, you have to have an empty space where you can just do a meditation, where you can just meditate. And I integrate all of that in the Ataana healing method, because in the Ataana method, I teach how to do energy work and still be functioning in life, and not just walking off and say, oh, everything is nice and everything is beautiful, and they lose connection to the grounding, because we have to bring the energies here into the planet. We bring our consciousness here, we have our bodies here, but most of the people are only 60, 70% here, if so. And a lot of the times when I do and teach the energy work, I teach how to meditate, how to do energy work, how to work with the different frequencies, your own energy field, the stones, feng shui, everything that you can imagine as a compact system.
Well, and one of the things that also is so important to really weave into this conversation is, listen, how instantaneous can this become? And I wanted to ask you about this. Instantaneous means, wait a minute, you just explained what it means to sell a house, but how about talking to a client? How about, for example, if you're in sales and you're getting ready to send out emails? We don't really think about, wait a minute, I'm getting ready to build upon the livelihood of my business, and part of that is sales. And we don't think about, well, wait a minute, maybe there is a crystal I should be bringing in on this conversation. Oh, wait, maybe there are a bunch of them.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you're bringing that up. For example, I don't know if you heard about that stone morganite. It's a stone that looks like beautifully purple, a beautifully pink stone that is actually named after J.P. Morgan. JP Morgan named that stone. JP Morgan, and I'm sure everyone knows who JP Morgan is with the banks and everything and investments, right? You can imagine, named the stone. He was a crystal freak. He loved crystals. He loved gemstones. And his whole offices, investment places, they were all full of stones. Most people don't realize that some of the most successful people on the planet are connected to crystals. They are connected to crystals in some wild way that nobody even, they'll just think, oh, it's just a tick, it's just something. They don't realize that crystals hold a frequency. For example, you have a board meeting. There's a certain crystal. There is some, let's say there is some unexpressed things with the board members, but it's not coming out to the surface and they don't want to force it. There's a certain crystal that can make this so much easier, and not just to the person that is leading the board meeting, but you can have the room activated with crystals. I have had even an idea where I wanted to create a crystal house where each room has a different setting of crystals, where I'm basically just taking a little fee at the door and the people going to the house and have their full alignment, where they come in and they start with a powerful ruby room, and then they go in, and then they start from there to a different room that they go until they get to the heart room, to the most amazing pink tourmaline or morganite room, and then really have a certain experience. You can model each room, each office, each place on the planet to something that will have an impact on the human, because most of the crystals are energetically responding to the humans. If I line the rooms up with the space, with the people there that are working, the climate, the environment in that space can drastically change to a level that the whole team starts already pulling together instead of each one kind of diverting into different places. I helped a lady develop a team. It was like for health insurance, and they had a team that they needed to really work together. It was a new team.
Yes.
And each one was like on their own different page, and each one had a different idea, and they came from different places from that company, from different places of the country, and they all had to work and pull on the same rope, but they all were on a different page. So we lined them up by basically getting them all in the same room and meeting and having a specific stone set there where they were exposed to on a, by every day, every second day they were meeting. And once that happens, is the whole company, the whole unit starts to become the most successful in selling the health insurance policies that they were doing there, and they were like in a fraction of the time they were up on a really high level, and they weren't getting along at all.
But isn't that really what we're talking about here today? One of the things that I love about this, and I know we only have a couple of minutes left, Ataana, first of all, can you let folks know how they can contact you directly to work with you directly? Because what we're talking about here today is, in a sense, a real renewal to who we really are. It's not that we're changing ourselves. Isn't this about bringing the best out in us?
Absolutely. And to expand our reach really into the best, into the prosperity, into the well-beingness. And why wouldn't you, if you have a tool that gives you an expansion and expands your life? Why wouldn't you? And that's how I got to it. I realized, man, these tools are great. They help, and these stones are amazing. And each of them have an amazing consciousness. And I approach them, of course, differently than other people do. I see them as friends. I don't leave them just there in a place with somebody. I line them up as friends, and I tell them what they need to do with the stone. I tell them how they need to focus or clear the stone once a month or cleanse them, right? And that makes a big difference. So people can reach me to my website, ataanamethod.com, or energyhealer.us. If you go onto energyhealer.us, you can find me, or you go onto Ataana Method, ATAA NAMETHOD.com, ataanamethod.com. And then you can see some of the stones I have there. Most of the bigger stones or the specialty stones that the person needs in their office, healing space, a yoga space, etc. I can help them find the right stone, and then we line them up. And of course, you're being surprised and amazed how fast you're changing your whole setup there.
I love it. Ataana, this is why, we're doing the work that we're doing. And in future shows that we will do together, we will be talking about activation. What we're talking about is energy works. Yes. And what that means is we get to show up in our day-to-day lives epically. Ataana, thank you for an amazing show. One last question. I know we got a short time left. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Be open to receive new systems, new tools, new ways of support. If you are in this expansion that's coming and you feel overwhelmed, know there is a new way, a new tool that's going to come into your life that's going to help you to go into your full expansion, and trust it.
Yeah, suffering is not something that we have to do. Thank you, everybody, for tuning us in, turning us on. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Energy Works Radio with Ataana Badili. Each show, Ataana provides listeners with live energy healing meditations and tools to shed the layers of limitation and reveal the powerful life force within that can conceive, achieve, and activate you for an amazing life. For more information and to book a session with Ataana, please visit ataanamethod.com. That's ataanamethod.com. And tune in next time for Energy Works Radio with Ataana.